Hey guys, Philip Good here. I am a relationship coach and I am an abuse recovery specialist. This video is chapter 9 of a recording I'm doing towards my book that I'm writing. And the title of that is Ignited by the Bottle, Delivered by the Fist. And this chapter is chapter 9. It is called, the title is The Day I Killed My Father. Almost, right? Okay, so as I said in previous videos, fights and arguments in our family were the norm, right? I know I've come to know afterwards in later years, obviously it wasn't normal, but it was the norm, a day-to-day thing. That's what we always, brothers and I, we always expected that. So it was a shame as we went, went from primary school to secondary school, you got to high school, you got to start in the teenage years at high school, and we found we couldn't bring our girlfriends home because my father was out of control, drinking, swearing, cursing, carrying on. There was always fights and arguments, so you'd be too embarrassed to bring a girlfriend home to the house. So, as a teenager, I didn't have much social ability at all. I didn't socialize a great deal, apart from being at school. That's the extent of my, socializing, I guess. So, in later teenage years, yes, we had girlfriends, my brothers and I, we'd take them out and so on. And particularly when we got ourselves a little car when I was probably about 16, and the brothers and I, we shared a little car together, type thing. And so we had a little bit of independence, could get out and take girlfriends out, but it was too embarrassing to bring a girlfriend home to the house. So we didn't have any. We didn't go out to parties as such. Didn't have parties at home for our friends or our girlfriends. That was the way things were. So basically, our brothers and I. We spent time together. Going fishing and things like that, setting a net. Say their grandfather's batch that I mentioned in previous videos. Things like that. Or if we wanted to go and ride our horse, that my grandfather bought for us, we had to do that ourselves. We could take a bridle, weren't allowed to use the saddle, and our father never came with us to teach us how to ride or anything. Like my grandfather, who bought the horse, wanted our father to do, to teach us how to ride. So my grandfather bought the horse for us boys to use and go to pony club, gymkhanas and things like that, But no, our father, being the selfish person that he was, used a horse himself, and a horse was not in the hack class. It was still 14 two hands. So she was still in the pony class. So really, she was built. She was a strong pony according to 42 hands, but it was obviously purchased for the idea of teaching us guys to ride, and so we could ride in pony club, gymkhanas. But my father took the horse himself and did exactly that. Rode the horse in pony club, gymkhanas and shows and things like that. Won cups and ribbons with her. And whereas, he took it, it was supposed to be for us boys, but, that's the sort of guy that he was, right? He never wanted to, we realized, because and particularly being the eldest of 6 children as well, 6 kids, you analyze all those years and you analyze why your parents did this or that or didn't do this or that. And you come to your own conclusions, and I dare say every one of my 5 siblings has got a different idea, right? But my idea was my father was a very selfish person. It was all about him, his own happiness, not his and my mother's together or as a family. She did nothing at all for the highest good of our family, for the happiness of our family. It was for the happiness of him himself, Jack Good. That beginning and end of the story, right? So as I went as I went through the high school years, you come home from school. At high school, we used to get home about 3:45 in the afternoon. And quite often, your fights and arguments happening, and being the eldest, I would always stick up for my mum and put my 5 cents worth in and try and swing the argument around towards me. So not only would I put my 5 cents worth in, but I knew how to press my father's buttons. So quite often, if there was a fight starting with my mother, I put my bit in, and the fight would turn around towards me, right? So it was one way of me protecting my mother, so that I would take the punches so she didn't have to, and so on. And I knew how to press my father's buttons, that's for sure. So the big fight, the day I killed my father almost, it was not, there was nothing premeditated about it. It was just a normal day, fights and arguments that happened in the house and so on. Got home from high school this particular afternoon at about 3:45, like I said before. And of course, like, my father worked on the Harbour Bridge on tolls and traffic and stuff. He'd get home for about 3:15, 3:20, something like that. And us boys would get home from high school about 3:45. So this particular day, there's a big argument going on between mum and dad. It's usually the same thing. It's either over money or either in-laws and things like that, religion, religious stuff, and all the rest of it, all the same type of things, over and over and over and over again. And anyway, walked in there, and of course, did the normal thing about putting my 5 cents worth in, and said, the argument sort of headed towards me, and then it seemed to calm down, and so I thought, oh, well, things have died down. I'll just go and sit down in the lounge and read newspaper. So, so you imagine a newspaper. I had a newspaper out. So I was sitting in a chair in the lounge room, had a newspaper out, I was just reading it, right? And my father came into the lounge room, and I thought he was just going past me and out the other door at the other end of the lounge. But no, I couldn't see what he was doing because I had the newspaper up and I was reading it. And he came over in a flash. He came over the top of the newspaper and hit me two hard punches either side of the head. Bang, 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 as hard as he could punch. He was 45. I was 17 at the time. But to my father's disbelief, it didn't have any effect on me at all. He hit me so hard, or his intention was hit me so hard that he knocked me out, but it didn't have any effect at all. And I brought the newspaper down. I can remember I was so calm, steely calm, almost like a cold, steely calm. Folded the newspaper up. Nick never took my eyes off my father. Looked at him, never took my eyes off him. As I was folding the newspaper, looked up at him and said, and I remember my words. I said to him, "Why did you do that for?" And he didn't say anything. All he was doing was rolling his sleeves up. He had long sleeve shirt on, taking his watch off, ready for a big fight, right? So I calmly stood up, and he came in with a punch, bang, punch. I ducked, and this happened in just in a split second. The feeling I had, I can remember it to this day. And I was 17. I'm 72 now. So what? 55 years ago? I can remember it like it was yesterday. So, and as I'd said in previous videos, I've been a rugby league player. I've been a hard-ass rugby league player. The old man taught me how to play hard, taught me how to tackle really hard, use my shoulders, right, when I went into somebody. and could do that to a devastating effect. And quite often, guys that I hit in a tackle, could have been half again as big or heavier than me, but I'd literally take them out. They'd be stretchered off the field, right? Because the way that I was brought up with all the punches I received, I couldn't feel any pain, right? In fact, I couldn't feel anything. And all said and done, feelings, emotions are what it is to be human, right? But at this particular point at 17, that's what I was like. And the way I was feeling at the time was I felt like, or the feeling was for me like, it was like almost like a lion or a tiger about to spring at its prey, right? Just set, ready, and waiting. So as he came over with his punch, and bang, I ducked, and I literally picked him up. This all happened in a split second. Picked him up, used my shoulder, drove him into the brick fireplace that was just to my left, his right. Drove him into the brick wall above the fireplace. He rebounded off that, and in a heartbeat, I was sitting on top of him. I knocked all the wind out of his sails, right? I was sitting on top of him with my fist up, and he was helpless. And I looked down into his eyes, and all I saw was fear. And that fear said to me, my father thought that he was about to be killed by his own son. And in that emotionally charged moment, with my mother in the background, right at the doorway between the kitchen and the dining room, and my two kid sisters that were only about 6 and 4, or maybe 5 and 3, around about 5 and 3. 5 and 3, they're all screaming in the background. And I couldn't believe it, but my mother was yelling out, "Leave him alone," to me, "Leave him alone, get off him." And with my fist up, all I was thinking was, "I'm going to take you out, man." All the things that flash back into your mind is like, all the things, all the hits that I'd taken, all the times I'd been knocked down, the times I'd seen my mother knocked out, my brothers beaten because they did, did some sort of an accident, nothing on purpose, but got beaten for it, dragged out of bed and pummeled. And the thought was, now you're going to get your comeuppance, you bastard. I'm going to bloody kill you right here and now. I'm going to take you out, man. You deserve it. And as I was feeling all this, you can imagine the heightened emotional feelings that were running through my veins at the time. The anger, the rage. It wasn't a hot rage. It was a cold rage. It was a calculated rage. As I discovered later, it was the rage that you could feel when you kill somebody, when you murder somebody. I had felt that I had the strength of 3 or 4 men. And it's feeling like that in that emotionally charged moment, a voice came into my head. I didn't recognize the voice. I heard those words. Those words said to me, came into my mind. If you do what you're about to do, you'll be as bad as he is. Whoa. In my heart, that was the first time that God or Jesus, whoever you like to call him, the creator, the source, whatever you like to call him, spoke to me. If you do what you're about to do, you'll be as bad as he is. And it stopped me dead in my tracks. And I looked down into my father's eyes that was just filled with fear. The first time I'd seen fear in my father's eyes my whole life. And he thought that I was going to kill him. And that had been my intention until I heard those words. It had the effect of stop me dead in my tracks. I looked down at him. He was helpless. He was powerless. My father was. So I stepped up, got up, and I walked away. So in that moment, I had learned self-control in an emotionally charged moment. I had broken the cycle of violence in my family in that moment. Violence that had plagued my family was a generational thing from my father to his mother to her grandfather, great-grandfather, and so on, right back through the family line. It had come down through the family line. I realized later that my whole purpose in this life, the reason I was born, was for this moment. To absorb all the punches as a younger kid, to come to this moment, a defining moment. My whole purpose in life was right there and then, to break the cycle of violence in my family. That was my purpose. That was why I was born. And that decision to hop up, get off my father, and walk away, totally changed my life. I was able to control myself. And let's face it, if you can't control yourself, then you're totally out of control. You're going to commit violence. You're going to get out of control when you drink alcohol or take drugs. You're going to hurt other people if you can't control yourself in emotionally charged moments. And one of the reasons why I'm writing this book, Ignited by the Bottle, Delivered by the Fist, is to say that I could learn self-control. I broke the cycle of violence in my family. You can too. Guess what? I've never been drunk in my life once. My father was drunk all the time, and he got out of control through drinking. I never wanted to be like him. I wanted to be the opposite of him. Even though, as a teenager, if I had a glass or a stubby of beer, it made me happy. I never wanted to be like my father at all. I wanted to be totally the opposite. His father, my grandfather, was almost like a teetotaler himself. Even though he went to the First World War, he would have a glass of beer with his mates. That's all he had. I've never been drunk once in my life, and I'll never get drunk, never be drunk. I never take any recreational drugs at all. Period. My whole life. I'll die. When I die, I'll look back on my life and I'll say, I never drank. I was never drunk once in my life. That's the way I'll die. That's the way I live my life. I didn't want to be anything like my father. Drinking, alcohol, taking drugs, get you away from reality, sure. But what you got to do is you got to face your problems, issues, your traumas head on. Don't shy away from them. Don't hide yourself in a bottle or don't fill yourself with drugs to try and get out of your reality momentarily. It doesn't work. Once you're out of the drug state, out of the alcohol state, it all comes back to you. Worse. But the thing is, you've impacted your people around you. Your spouse, your children have all been on the receiving end because you couldn't face up to your trauma, your childhood traumas. Well, guess what? All I'm saying to you is, like I had to learn, you signed up for this life. If you received violence or different sort of trauma as a child, That's what you signed up for. And the reason is you signed up for it. That's what your soul wanted in this life, you to go through that. But it's go through all that heartache and heartbreak. And the challenge that you like I faced was, can you go through that and then get rid of the hate and anger and resentment that filled you as a child and teenager and get back to unconditional love, kindness, joy, and happiness? That's your challenge. And in the following chapters of my book, I'll explain to you how I did that. And yes, I got to that. I got to enjoy a 48, like now, at 72, I've been married to my beautiful wife, Eileen, for 48 and a half years. Beautiful years. I manifested and attracted a person that was the kindest, most loving person, even though she'd grown up in a childhood where she was beaten black and blue herself. Yet when we met at 21, here was a lady who was the kindest lady I'd ever met in my life. And she had a heart of gold. You could see the love just coming from her heart. And I used to think at the time, how could that be? And I'll explain how that became in a future chapter of this book. And I'll record in a video for you. But after this particular fight with my father, he never ever tried to take me on again. But the coward that he was, he missed out my next two brothers of the year. Got this. My mother had four boys under 5. My father missed my next two brothers that were, 1 year, second year, 2 years, 1 year and 2 years younger than me. And he went back down to my youngest brother. There was the 3 of us boys, myself, my 2 brothers close to me were at high school. My youngest brother was in Form 2 at what we call intermediate school in New Zealand. My father missed my next 2 brothers, and quite often I'd come in from high school and be fighting with my younger brother. He was probably only 12 or 13 at the time, because he knew he was stronger and he could beat him. He could beat him up. And my brother was intermediate. He'd get home from school a bit earlier than us. He'd get home about a quarter of an hour earlier than us. So quite often, I would come in, and here my father is fighting with my younger brother in the dining room. And I'd come in, drop my school bag down, and I had so much rage in me at the bullying coward that he was. I would literally go over to where he was fighting with my brother, grab his shirt, grab him by the shirt, lift him up off the ground, and fire him from one side of the room to the other. That's how much strength that I had. I had the strength of 3 or 4 men, man. I had so much rage inside me. And he would go flying through the air and crash down in the stalls at the other side of the dining room. And the fight was over. He never ever tried me again. Well, I just wished he would. Because I didn't kill him once. But if he'd tried again, the second time, the next time, I would have killed him that time. I was just waiting for that chance. Didn't come. He was too much of a coward. My father was too much of a coward. Beat up on younger people they knew he could beat. Or my mother. I was absolutely disgusted by my father. And my grandfather, his father, was exactly the opposite to what he was. I modeled myself on my grandfather good. He was kind, He was gentle. He was loving. He was generous. I loved being around him. I couldn't understand how my father was the opposite. I couldn't understand how my father was my grandfather's son. So, needless to say, I've modeled my life on my grandpa Good and my grandpa Shaw, my mother's dad. They were 10 times the man that my father was, 10 times the father, 10 times the grandfather that my father ever was. Anyway, guys, I'll leave you with that. Sorry, this video's been going on a bit. If you want to get in touch with me, guys, you can go to YouTube, my YouTube channel. It's at philgood2109. That's at PHILGOOD 2109. That's my YouTube channel. Or if you want to go and join up my Facebook group, it is facebook.com/philgood, Phil, PHIL .good, GOOD .3597. Request to join, guys, and I'll let you in, and there'll be a few more videos there for you to look at if you're interested. And if you want any help, be a way to be able to direct message me, and I can help you if you've got any concerns. Because like I say, I'm a coach, relationship coach, an abuse recovery specialist, and if you need help, I'm here to help you guys. I'd love to. I've helped myself, as you can see, at 48 and a half wonderful years with my beautiful wife, Eileen, raised 4 beautiful children, all well-adjusted, never knew anything about violence like I did, or like my wife did. We created something totally different, much, much better for them. They're happy, so happy, well-adjusted kids. And now we've got 11, soon to be 12, well-adjusted and happy grandchildren. And that makes Ollie and I, our hearts sing, and we're jumping for joy. Okay, guys, love you. I'll leave you with that. Thank you. Bye-bye now.